Well, I've made a fair few mistakes in my time. Buying that, maybe right up there. For those of you who don't know, I was on annual leave yesterday, so this kind of all passed me by. I'm actually just back from Edinburgh in the last hour. Anyone who was on my train carriage, which it was quite busy, will probably know that I was jotting down loads of information on Ange Postecoglou.
I look at him and his CV isn't extraordinary, but having looked at a lot of information on him today, and 67 Hale Hill spoke to someone a journalist for the Japan Times, who is adamant that he can get the job done. The overwhelming response from Australians overnight was that he could do a brilliant job in Europe. There's optimism on that side of things from a lot of people. My problem is I don't know enough about him, and I don't, nobody really knows enough about him on this side of things to say whether he'll be a success or not.
Of course, we've got you on to chat about the one, the only Ange Postecoglou, a guy who a lot of people watching this won't know a great deal about at all. You will obviously know much more. Vince, you wrote quite an interesting article for the Sydney Morning Herald around Ange. It's titled, "It's Risky Business, but Celtic and Postecoglou Could Be a Match Made in Heaven." That kind of sums up your feeling towards the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think the Scottish football and Australian football communities have done a fair bit of mutual learning over the last few days about what sort of situation Celtic's in and what sort of manager Ange Postecoglou is in. And I got to admit, I had some doubts early doors when we woke up on a Saturday morning to all this chatter on social media about Ange potentially being the guy for Celtic. And we've always thought it was only a matter of time until someone in Europe took the punt on Ange, because he's a top class coach. I just didn't think it would be Scotland, and in particular, sort of like a club like Celtic or even Rangers. I know he was linked there a few years ago, just because as I mentioned and as he said in the headline, the risk factor is so high.
Hi there everyone, you're watching 67 Hail Hail. Celtic have a new manager, hip hip hooray, Ange Postecoglou. I hope you're well, thanks for joining us. I hope life is good wherever you're skiving work from. I'm Hamish, John is here as well. John, we'll get into all the bits and bobs in a minute, but just original early feelings on the news.
Look, this is long overdue. I'm excited to have a manager in place, but Neil Lennon resigned in February. We're here on the 10th of June, and I'm excited for a new era at Celtic. I can't make any heavy predictions of how it's going to go, whether it's going to be successful or a disaster. I think anyone who's proclaiming either is probably at it a bit. But my gut feeling is that, get behind this guy and see what happens.
From 67 Hail Hail, hope you're well. Just wondering, obviously Tom Rogic has played with the new manager in the past. I'm just wondering if he's had anything to say at the dressing room and if you've actually spoken to the new manager yet.
No, I've not spoken to the new manager yet, but I think going off his interview when he first joined, it's very promising. He mentioned he likes to bring academy players into the first team, so I think all the academy boys looking at that, well, it's a good chance to give a good impression in pre-season and start well.
Hi everyone, we're here at Celtic Park today. Doesn't Paradise look amazing in the sun? I just love this part of the ground. But we're here on business because today Ange Postecoglou will meet press for the first time as Celtic manager. He'll be joined by incoming Celtic Chief Executive Dom Mackay. Hi guys, Hamish from 67 Hail Hail. Just to welcome both of you to the club. Obviously a lot of work ahead of both of you, so all the best. Ange, I'll start with you. Obviously, like everyone in this room, we wanted to find out as much as we could about you. We spoke to Vince Regari from your homeland. I think he had a lot of positive things to say. One thing he did raise was the fact that your teams can take some time to get used to your way of playing, your philosophy, just the overall kind of ethos. Is that something you think's a fair comment? And how far do you think this Celtic side you inherited are from where you want them to be?
Yeah, look, I mean, people always sort of say that it takes time, but I mean, I assume everyone wants to be successful. They all like the ending, so I think if you talk to people I've actually been involved with, none of them really talk about how long it took. They just talk about the fact that it was, a special time.
Once I went in, put my ticket in the turnstile, walked up about 8 million flights of stairs to the upper tier of the North Stand. I've never been in that part of the ground before. I think it's probably the only part of the ground I've never sat in. Great view, right at the halfway line, great view of the pitch. Loved it. And I was trying to think whether it felt strange to be back or whether it felt completely normal to be back. Well, we can add the name of Midtjylland to the list of terrible European results Celtic have had. 4 years in a row now we've bowed out of Champions League qualifying. It's just really, really frustrating because I think Celtic fans have a lot of belief in the manager. I think we do. I think we genuinely see there is something there. There's a manager who comes across really well and has good ideas. And I genuinely do think he'll be a success, but it comes with a huge caveat that he has to be backed, and we keep saying that you've got to back Ange, and then another week passes and we've maybe been linked to a few players but we've not got any over the line, and another bad result comes. We signed a player earlier today. Kyogo Furuhashi has joined from the J League.
It was one of those things that just happens. He's been going on for probably 3 years, where he's been pretty much basically going overseas, and a lot of teams have been interested in him, especially in Holland and Belgium.
Hi Kyogo, you seem to be quite a versatile player, but what I want to know is, what position do you find best for yourself? Is it on the left? Is it on the right? Is it up front as a striker? Well, everyone, look at those smiles on our three faces. It hasn't always been like that, but it's pretty impossible not to be smiling after that from Celtic today. 6-0 winners over Dundee. Just so many positives, John. We're going to have to do about an hour-long video.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I can't remember the last time we played that well. Stevie, you've got a better memory than me. When was the last time we played that well?
Even I'm struck. Certainly not last season anyway, John.
There's so much to be positive about, Scott. What one thing sprung out to you above everything else in yesterday's performance?
Well, I think we're going to talk about, our little Japanese superstar that's, just come onto the scene. He scored midweek and then he's got a hat-trick. Kyogo was superb yesterday. His movement off the ball was something else to see, and albeit the fans who got in, which we'll touch on later, which was fantastic to see also, would have seen a right quality player there in terms of his movement and just his energy levels and what he gave to the game and how hard he worked off the ball and, lost causes, down in the corners and blocking things, getting down the line. Those small little, details to a manager and to a team, it just lifts everyone. So, those little things he was doing yesterday, leading from the front. So it bodes well for the future, that's for sure.
Yes, it's transfer deadline day, or as Celtic fans like to call it, Tuesday. It's probably a little bit harsh because we have signed 2 players today. We're going to chat about all of that on today's video. Thanks very much everyone for joining us. Wow, 250 people on already, John. That's how keen people are to chat about transfers.
Yeah, it's an exciting day. I always think a little bit too much is put on it in terms of what's going to happen. But I think it's a good stopping point to review what's been done by Celtic over the whole summer, and that's basically what it's all about. There's already plenty of debate fighting about online, so we should get stuck into it as well. Anything
I think Edouard's just been announced, John.
Oh, there we go then. So
it's Edouard away.
You got to say it.
So Crystal Palace have signed Odsonne Edouard from Celtic in a 4-year deal, 7th signing of the summer. They tweeted just there saying an incredible talent, an iconic chant. So they're probably going to rip off a Celtic song, no doubt. I think it's obviously a Stone Roses reference. Taking away the fact that it's a loan deal and your hatred of them, Stevie, what do you make of Jota? overall.
Well, you've John's just sold me on him. What a fantastic football player. What an advert there, John. No, what I will say is that if you're Jota and you're looking at who's going to be playing through the mid, you're an out-and-out winger. You like to beat players and you like to just feed the striker. Come to Celtic, and who's your out-and-out striker going to be? Kyogo. So that's a dream for you right away. The fact that this guy's movement is exceptional.
I'm really intrigued. There was a lot of Portuguese players that moved through the window. The likes of Florentino Luis moved on, and there was Diogo Leite went to Braga. Lots of players who weren't really getting too many minutes have now moved on to clubs where theoretically they should. But I would say that Jota is probably the one that I'm most excited for. Is the one that I'm most looking forward to watching, to be honest.
Hi, Jota.
Hello.
Hiya. You've been a Benfica fan, I think, since you were young. Celtic have played Benfica quite a few times over the last 15 years. Were you at any of those games? Do you have any memories of Celtic?
Yes, actually, there's a really good story about the game at home in Benfica in Lisbon.
Dom, the one word I've heard you saying, numerous occasions is modernisation and modernising the club. You said, I think, when Ange was appointed that both of you kind of share that view. Just specifically, what areas do you feel at Celtic are in need of modernisation, and how do you intend to go about that?
Thanks, Hamish. I think every element of the club needs to make sure it remains as professional, as slick, and as world-class as it should be. We operate in a high-performance environment. We want to make sure that we've got the best possible tools and people and processes at our disposal. So every part of the organisation I'm going to want to make sure is ready for the next 10 years, and that's my mission.
Bit of a shock, wasn't it, the news yesterday that Don Mackay's away?
Yeah, no, it was nice. No, it was a huge shock. I absolutely did not see that coming, and it really caused concerns about whether all this talk he had about modernisation and changing the structures and all these things he wanted to do at the club. I've got to assume they were in his job interview. So, clearly the board backed that at the time. What's changed in these 2 months? I have absolutely no idea, and it's pretty scary.
Yeah, I was shocked, mate. I mean, I was really shocked. I was surprised. I was certainly initially worried. I've calmed down a bit now. I mean, what was your initial gut reaction when you heard the news?
Really, really surprised. I think most people are. As a guy who's in a group chat with John, I can confirm that he was very, let's just say, sceptical of the WhatsApp rumours that were floating about on Thursday night. But no, completely shocked. I really thought that Don Mackay was here for the long haul. I really thought that he was going to be the long-term successor to Peter Lawwell, that was going to be a really good fit for Celtic, and whatever the reasons for his departure are, it's a real bad look, I think, for Celtic. Today was one of the feistiest, most heated Celtic AGMs in living memory.
It was pretty feisty from start to finish, really. Ian Bankier was kind of cracking jokes and seemed quite jovial at first. I think he was completely unaware as to the sort of feeling in the room. And when it came to the votes and the Q&As, he was so clearly kind of caught off guard. He was flustered. It was really something to behold, actually.
Everyone, it's finally happened. The big dog of Celtic YouTube, Mr.
Big dog? Wow.
I'm about to introduce you, mate. You need to let me finish this. Mr. Ryan Fitzsimmons, aka Ryan118. He's finally come to 67 Hill Hill. I know that's a lot of numbers, everyone, but he's here.
118x67. It's just about time. I feel like, honestly, I'm on the karaoke. I'm about to start Frank Sinatra or something. I love this. It's brilliant. Thanks for having me on, Hamish.
More than welcome. We're here at Celtic Park, if you haven't already noticed. Hamish, Ryan, Celtic Park. The sun is even shining. What more can you want? We're going to chat about, obviously, the big game that's on tomorrow at Ibrox against Rangers. We've got so much to chat about. Okay, so defeat for Celtic this afternoon at Ibrox. Hugely disappointing game. A game that I think we all feel Celtic could have got more out of. We'll just open it up early doors. John, I'll get your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, just frustrated. Sometimes after these games you're gutted. Sometimes you're raging. For me, it's just a case of frustration today. Felt like it was a game, as you say, we had more to give in. And let down by a weak corner again, let down by a couple of poor individual performances. collectively in the second half just weren't good enough. And unfortunately, I think Ange was just a little bit too slow to react to the decision to play Kyogo through the middle. So a lot to chat about. But yeah, my main feeling after that is frustration.
Hello and welcome back to 67 Hail Hail. You find us 5 minutes after Livingston 1, Celtic 0. Another disappointing day away from home. You join a fellow McGinley. You've got Ryan McGinley and then John McGinley here. John, mate, how did you find that? It was a tough watch, you could say.
Yeah, a real tough watch. Kind of no real hiding places after that.
Listen, we would love to have been in a bit of a better frame of mind. Celtic have dropped more points, sadly, in the league this afternoon. We're going to chat about the game, big style, with Ewan and Stevie. You know it's a serious video, everyone, when Stevie's got notes in front of him. There's not really any way to kind of skirt around the issue. It's 2 drop points today, Stevie.
It is, and we're very lucky, in my opinion, that Rangers are garbage as well this season, and they've dropped 5 points already. Can you imagine the state that we would be in had they not lost up at Tannadice already?
Juranovic, he's scored 2 penalties out of 2, so I don't understand why you wouldn't go with a guy in form, to be honest. And I'm sure, well, definitely the folk around me thought the same.
Yeah, as I say, I was saying it not just after the penalty but before the penalty as well. It's really frustrating because I think, you've never get any guarantees with penalties, but you just know Juranovic would have slotted that, don't we? We just know Juranovic would have put that in the back of the net. Obviously it's a really poor penalty from GG.
It's just all par for the course in the first period of Ange Postecoglou coaching a football team. It's tough. It's going to take some adjustment to get used to the style of football, the demands of this football, the players on an individual level to adjust their own games to fit into this system, and the fans as well to, I guess, put aside that thing in your brain that makes you think that Celtic is, one of the biggest clubs in the world and should be winning every game all the time, no questions asked. Like, you've just got to park that for this period and just wait until the team settles in here. And for me, I mean, there's very clear evidence that the team is building something.
As the league table stands, it doesn't look good at the moment, but there's plenty to build on now. I certainly hope so, and it will give, like I said, Ange a little bit of breathing space for a couple of weeks to really go over the last couple of months and particularly the last couple of weeks and sort of figure out what hasn't been going well for them on the football pitch.
This is the day that we win away. You've got to embrace it, Stevie. We've won a game away from home. Yeah. Hi everyone. Sorry, I almost forgot you were there. We're live on 67 Hail Hail, live, I should add, from Babbity Boutsters in the Merchant City. And we're speaking after Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2. Let us know in the chat if you can see us and hear us. Stevie, amazing, isn't it? It's amazing to support a team that wins games away from home. It feels like something special is building here with this Celtic team, and when it clicks, it's going to be spectacular. Is that the way you feel about it as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I've said it even, there is going to be bumps in the road along the way, and even when we've had the little bumps so far, I still see so much potential in this team. I see the boys working every day. I see what the manager's trying to do, and I can sense a real togetherness. I think the Aberdeen away victory as well, I think that really helped us in terms of a mentality setting of, going away from home, so many young players for different cultures all coming together, on that day, and I think that was a real big step for us. And I think since then I can sort of sense a mentality change where, the boys are, they're really going to motor now, I think.
Look at the smiles on those faces. What a wonderful night, guys. Hibernian 1, Celtic 3, a first half blitz from Ange's men. It's looking a bit better, the league table, but I just think Celtic just need to keep winning. We've had 3 wins now back for the international break, 3 clean sheets, all 2-0 victories. I just think the great thing for everyone, hopefully, is that there's so much more to come from this team. I just think we're motoring nicely, but we've already dished out a couple of 6-0s and a 5-0, I think, this season, but we are going to, hit a team for a lot of goals this season when we're fully in our groove. It might not happen over the winter months, we might have to wait till, the spring, but I think it's looking good, lads. Final comments, Stevie?
I do, I would just maybe err on the side of caution as well, that things are going okay now, and actually they're very impressive now, but I think it's important as well that if we do have a wee blip, and say it's. I don't think we will personally, but if we do, we drop points on Wednesday. There's a poor performance. It's not a case of everyone going from one extreme now to the other, in a case of, oh no, he's useless, get him out. Blah. It's just a case of sticking with this team. They saw what they can do. They can build up momentum, and we'll just have to build it up again after it. But there are going to be some hitches along the way, and I think what I'm seeing for this Celtic team now is they seem to learn from the mistakes, which is good. And I'm hoping there's no any sort of setbacks to come. But if there is, then it's a case of not panicking, because I think this team will learn from it. And as you saw against Ferencváros as well, there's now there's no naivety from them. They look as if every game they're understanding each other more, they're communicating more, they're being more vocal, and they're gaining experience with each other along the way. So I'm impressed. I like how it's going. And look, I'm not complaining.
And if Stevie's not complaining, we're doing well.
Hi there everyone, we are back on 67 Hail Hail after Celtic's fourth consecutive victory away from home in the league. Dundee 2, Celtic 4. Real poacher instincts in those goals. I don't think it's something I expected to see when Jota signed. I certainly expected to see the tricky winger that we see before us, him creating goals, putting balls into the box. I didn't expect to see this kind of goal-scoring threat. I mean, I think he's probably scored 6 or 7 goals for Celtic now. Abad has played 1,507 minutes for Celtic. That's just under 17 games. He's got 7 goals and 5 assists. That's a goal involvement every 126 minutes. Kyogo's played 1,260 minutes, that's about 14 games. He's got 13 goals and 3 assists, that's a goal involvement every 79 minutes. And Jota's played 1,219 minutes, again just under 14 games, that's 6 goals and 6 assists, which is a goal involvement every 101 minutes.
And let's not forget the manager in all this. He's the one that's had to manage these 3. And it's not a case of, as he says, just throwing them in every single game. It would be in an ideal world they'd have unlimited energy levels and they could play 3 games every single week. But, he dropped Abada and he stressed at that point in time that he had to give him a rest. He had to in order to refill his energy levels, get his confidence back. When Kyogo was dropped, I've actually been quite critical. But would he have been as impactful in Hungary and against Dundee had he not been dropped?
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel on what is a really sad night for Celtic and just general football fans everywhere. Celtic legend Bertie Auld has died at the age of 83. Guys, there's only really one place to start, having a former Celtic player on in Jackie McNamara. Obviously the really sad news at the end of the weekend there that Bertie Auld had passed away at the age of 83. I think anyone who even spent a minute in his company would have a story to tell. Jackie, I'm taking it that you have a fair few stories to tell about Bertie.
Yeah, I've been in his company a few times, and he has good company, he's funny. You see the wee clips and stuff and emerging online and different stories with him, but my father was actually lucky to play under him as well when he was at Aberdeen. So, and I think over the years, Bertie, his stories that he tells, and it's sad, it's you see the rest of the Lisbon Lions. I was at the Hydro a couple of years ago and they had their event on. They're all on stage and it was very emotional. The ones that are missing, and these guys are sorely missed, and Bertie's a big loss to the football club and to everybody that knows him.
I was never fortunate enough to meet Bertie, despite staying at Maryhill, which I'm told he was always about somewhere. But it's just really, really sad. I think John put it really well when he said he was like a heart-thumping kind of link between the past and now. And it says so much that he's one of these guys that, obviously, his heyday was in the 60s, but every fan from a generation afterwards knew him. I felt like they knew him personally.
When you walk into a club like Celtic, irrespective of your position, you kind of feel, you're walking a little bit taller and you feel like you're a little bit stronger, and particularly in a position like mine. But that doesn't come from what I bring to it. That comes from the fact that I'm come into it you know, standing on the shoulders of giants. You know, you're in an elevated position because of the people that have come before you and created this. You know, I understand that it's past players, managers, supporters, the founders of this football club that create what it is here today. And you know, you walk out in front of 60,000 at Celtic Park. I didn't create that. We didn't create that. The ones who are here now.
I just thought tonight was a pretty emotional evening as well. The Bertie Auld tribute, you know, the tifo or the mosaic before the match, I thought was spectacular from the traditional Celtic end. I thought the 67th minute,
unbelievable,
you know, usual, you know, phones with the flash on and the flares in that Celtic end as well was spectacular. And as I've said already in this video, I felt that really boosted the Celtic team at that stage. I know Celtic have got other things lined up for next weekend at home to Aberdeen. I think that's going to be a really emotional, you know, game as well, with it being the first game at Celtic Park. But yeah, I feel like that win today's kind of for Bertie Auld a little bit. I think it's a big win, and I think I'm sure it's one that Bertie Auld would be delighted about. Celtic sent out an email yesterday to fan media, including 67 Hail Hail, with details for new plans that will aim to improve the access for fan media outlets. Hi, Ange.
Hey, Hamish.
Now, the reason I'm having a wee chat first with you today is because Hamish has been running around all over Celtic Park tonight, watching the game, speaking to Ange Postecoglou. Hamish, you were in the post-match press conference. Ange, is there a satisfaction to seeing, you know, perhaps more fringe players or players out of position still getting the job done for Celtic? You know, the theme for the last few weeks has very much been about injuries, but then you see players like, you know, Scales coming into the team, you see Lyle Abada, you know, playing through the middle. Is that a sign of, you know, the progress that has been made within the whole group? And, you know, it's not just about players, it's about the system itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely need to start doing these in an Aussie accent so you get the full Ange experience. I don't know what it is, mate. I've definitely walked under a ladder. Right, Celtic know who they will have to beat to get through in the Europa League. We have been drawn in a group with the following: Bayer Leverkusen, Real Betis and Ferencvaros, our old friends from Hungary. We've also got Betis expert Enrique Roldan, who is the founder and member of Betis Bohemio.
Leverkusen, for me, are one of the most watchable teams in the Bundesliga. Not just good in quality terms, but easy on the eye.
Yeah, better now than I was about a year ago. How much have Ferencvaros changed in that time?
Yeah, quite a bit, to be honest.
It's basically a counter-attack goal, and as I say, the ball from Jota's incredible, the finish is great, and the stadium
erupted, absolutely erupted.
For me, and I'm always wary of making major statements on the channel, as you all know, my favourite goal probably in a good while that Celtic have scored. I'm not sure if Celtic will ever have scored more goals in a group stage, ever. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. You're probably talking 15, 16 goals, something like that in this group stage, when you consider, you know, some of the teams we're up against was really impressive. Obviously the conceding aspect is something we need to work on, but we took the lead in 5 of the 6 games in this group stage. So I think that right there is evidence that this is a good Celtic team. And I just feel there's a, you know, we were, you know, holding out, 5 minutes away in Leverkusen from getting a draw. And if we'd have got that, I think we'd have finished ahead of Betis, or, you know, getting a draw in Spain against Betis. That's kind of how far away we were from qualifying from this group. I know the game tonight was a bit different, but I think in general really positive things to work on, and onwards to the wonderful Conference League.
Hamish, have you got a bit of breaking news there? Because I do if you don't.
Bodo Glimt,
yeah. Probably the best team in that side of the draw.
Celtic 2, Aberdeen 1 this afternoon. Ewan is with me. Feels like quite a big victory that one. You're almost kind of similar to the one we had at Pittodrie 8 or so weeks ago.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm actually from south of Aberdeen myself, so I've got a bunch of pals, family even, who are going to be disappointed tonight.
Can we all just abuse you now in the comments, please?
You can now, yeah.
As you can see, it is very marginal. Now, if VAR was in place, that's the kind of decision that it would spend 5 minutes looking over. Was he onside? Was he offside? We are chatting after another big 3 points for Celtic, 1-0 against Motherwell.
Great result today, great result. And but what I actually noticed, one thing, when they did their lap of honour, their body language for me today said that we knew that was a slug, because they didn't play well today.
Yeah.
And you could just read that from them. They know that it's just game by game at the moment.
Following Celtic, it's never dull, is it? An emotional rollercoaster of an evening. We've come away with the 3 points against Ross County. I don't quite know how we've managed it. It'll probably take me a wee while to work out how we managed it. Everything seemed to be conspiring against us in that second half. Daft refereeing decisions, Celtic players getting sent off, well, a Celtic player getting sent off, missed opportunities, just not playing that well. Lack of options due to injuries and rotating the team. And yet, Stevie, we found a way to win. I honestly think it's a goal we'll look back on as being a real moment for this team. We've been winning games lately. We've been happy. We've been content given all the injury stuff. But we've been waiting on that moment when, you know, everything catches fire under Ange. Yeah, I mean, we've been playing catch-up since the start of the season, haven't we, since we lost at Tynecastle. And I think this Celtic team has showed a lot of bottle in these games. Even a game like today, with all those injuries, finding a way to win that, finding a way to beat Motherwell, you know, by a single goal, Aberdeen by a single goal, finding a way to win in Dingwall last minute. I think it was Hearts was the other one. I think we've really shown a lot of character in December. Hopefully that character continues, and I'm sure it will going forward, and we just see a bit more quality, better players in the park, and I think things should be good. You know, the fact that Ange has reunited the team with the support as well can't be underestimated. So I think we're all really quite content with how things are going. We'd love to be, you know, level at the top or 6 points clear, but I think, you know, none of us can really complain too much about what we've seen so far. And just seeing Ange with that trophy on Sunday night would be a pretty special feeling. We've not even spoken about Ange. We've been on for like 25 minutes and we've not even mentioned Ange really. I didn't really expect to be that emotional, and I'm not saying that I was blubbering like a mess or anything like that at full time, but I genuinely did kind of have something happening when Ange was coming over right after full time and he's beating the chest and all of that stuff. Now, I don't know exactly what caused it. I think part of it, certainly a big part, is just how much I really, you know, love Ange, and I love the fact he's come across the globe to manage Celtic and the stuff he's had to put up with. And people, let's not forget people saying Ange would be sacked by now and away back on a plane to Japan or Australia. Yeah, how's that going? I mean, have a look at that photo of him lifting a trophy, and that's how it's going.
He's came in to Scottish football, and it's not an easy world to come into if you're any manager. It's very cliché, it's very bitter and all that, and it's a case of who you know. Ange doesn't know anyone. Ange has just been his own man, and you know what? See, for day one, I've always, you know me and my thoughts on Ange. You know, to everyone in the audience, I was never always pro Brendan, as you know. And the same way, let's not talk about the guy after him. But with Ange, I just trust everything he says. I think he's a very honest man. He's a very open man, and he's very transparent with the fans. And that's why there's been such a brilliant relationship with him. That's why the fans want to see him succeed, because he doesn't hide anything, and he is just exactly who he says he is.